Jam is made by mixing fruits, sugar, and cooking them until it thickens. But I'm not talking about that kind of jam. I'm talking about Shovel Jam, a game jam hosted by Inbound Shovel, a great guy whose channel I'll link in the description. The theme was just getting started, a simple idea to motivate people to start making their own games. The jam ran from July 11th to July 21st, 10 days to make a game, and I was pumped. I wanted to go all in, make a big project, create all the assets myself, write the story, compose the music, design the levels, and for the first time implement a dialogue system inspired by Detroit Become Human, where choices matter. Then I had a moment of epiphany. I thought, what if I could turn my college life, my feelings, my experiences into a game? The story follows a young square just starting college. He meets new people, makes choices that affect his academics and friendships. Each night he lights a cigarette, or he doesn't, depending on how the day went. So after 3 or 4 levels, he dies. But the twist is that if he made friends, they save him. If he doesn't, he dies alone, reflecting on his life. Those few levels represent his most memorable moments. It's a life story about friendship, about how easily things can slip away. Yeah, I was excited. This time I registered before starting the project, unlike my last jam where I made a game without registering. Yeah, lesson learned. So technically this was my first game jam. Phase 1, planning begins. I started by building a proper game development document using Miro, storyboards, flowcharts, the general structure. I planned 3 levels and visualized how it would all fit together. Planning started on 14th because college had me busy before that. I spent the 14th and the 15th fleshing things out, and for the first time, I was working on something this elaborate. I also started creating my pixel art sprites. At this point, I only had about 5 days left. And even though I had done all of my sprites, I still had to get into the engine and actually start creating my mechanics. So let's move on to phase 2, which is the development phase. On the 16th, I dove into Unity. I followed a YouTube tutorial to build a dialogue system. It turned out pretty decent, but I just used all placeholders for now, so let's skip that. Still, there's so much left to do. On 17th, I added a second character, used a trigger collider to launch dialogue. I added a transition screen with 2 white squares sliding in and out of the frame. Then I spent half an hour inputting all the level 1 dialogue. It was a long, tiring day. With only 3 days left, I started doubting whether I could actually finish the project. The next day, I did nothing. College stuff again. On the 19th, I began working on level 2. It starts in a classroom and shifts into a minigame. I added 3 stats: mood, academics, and energy, which influence whether the player smokes at the end of the day or not. Now let's move on to the third phase, the crash. Oh my God! Then came the 20th. I opened Unity and it was rough. Placeholder assets were everywhere, sprites undone, code was a mess, and worst of all, the dialogue system for level 1 stopped working completely. This was half a day before the submission. I wasn't even sad or frustrated at this point. I knew I had been too ambitious. I needed to make smaller games first, get stronger bit by bit, so I don't burn out. So I downloaded the last working version from GitHub. It didn't even have all my latest changes, but it worked. I went to itch.io and published my first ever game on itch.io. Yes, on itch.io. So here's what I learned. I learned so much from this jam alone. How to publish a game, how to manage messy code, when to push through and when to let go, and the importance of saving often. Seriously. Massive thanks to Unbound Shovel for hosting this jam, and a special shout out to Entredeem, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but for not only playing my game, but leaving a review. Everyone comment thank you Incredium down below. And yeah, that was my shovel jam experience. But what about you? Did you know about the jam? Did you participate? Share your experience in the comments. And if you like this video, leave a like, maybe even subscribe to watch me fail more game jams in the future. Thanks for watching. Have a pleasant day, or if it's night, good night.